Dark. Okay, hello guys, how are you? It's Jacqueline Francis here. I hope that you can hear me. Wow, what a glorious day. So, yes, my name is Jacqueline Francis. I am an author, award-winning speaker, and an educator. And welcome to my platform. It's called Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet. And today I have a special guest, and her name is Usha. And I'm so thrilled to have her on my program today because, and welcome to my excuse me, she's a psychotherapist. So, bear with me. Sorry, I'm just trying to check my second device here. Special guest, just bear with me. And her name is. Okay. So so let me just see if I can bring her in. Let's just see if I can bring her in. So, how have you guys been? How's your weekend been? I mean, I've had a fantastic weekend. I will start to talk about that later on, but let's see if I can get Usha in. I can see that you've joined, Usha, so I'm just going to try and bring you in. So as long as you're on the page, then it shouldn't be a problem. So I can see that you're on. So just bear with me. So yes, I've had a fantastic weekend. I was a guest speaker at an event, a book launch event, which was Blind Spot Anthology, and I was invited to, because I was in volume 1 of the Blind Spot, this was volume 2, so I was invited. Oh, I can't see you, Usha, so let me know if you're on the page. Let me just double check over here and see if I can bring her on. Yeah, so my apologies. Yeah, so my guest today is Usha, and the topic for today's show is about emotions. And as we try to stop, the program's called Stop Sweeping Things Under the Carpet, as we go through those things, we tend to forget about our emotions and how to deal with our emotions. Thank you, Bradley. Thanks so much for joining me. Just trying to get my guest on, but it's just not allowing me, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So Ursula is a psychotherapist. She's also an author, and we have similar backgrounds because we're both teachers. Well, I'm a former teacher. So yes, we'll be talking about emotions today. So I'm really hoping that I can get her on, because I think it'll be a very interesting conversation. And I say that simply because that's one thing people tend not to talk about, and that's their emotions and how they're feeling. So it'd be great if I actually can get Ursha on. I can see that she's on there, so I'm not quite sure what's happening. So guys, if you just bear with me and see, and I can just double check to see what is going on. So yeah, I can see. Okay, right, here we go. Right, I'm just going to prove you now, Ursha. Move forward. So as long as you follow the instructions. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Oh, hello. Hi. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh my
And I was
goodness.
all
Well, you're here now,
How
which
are
is
you?
great. Which is great. So those on line at the moment, if you guys can just share for us, please. My page is Jacqueline Francis, and also on Ursha's page. So if I can just rewind quickly. Hi, Marcia. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jacqueline Francis. I'm an author, award-winning speaker, and educator. And my show is called Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet. And today I'm so happy to say that I have Ursha with me. So delighted. So I'm not going to go on too much. So I'm going to let Ursha introduce herself to you. So go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline, for having me. So
Yeah.
my name's Usha Chudasama. So I'm a trainer, I'm a child and adult psychotherapist, and I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Your Happy Child. I've got one here. Your Happy Child. And I'm really passionate about helping parents to empower their children, but at the same time heal their own inner child through the experience of parenthood and adulthood. And that's what I do.
Great. Fantastic introduction. Fantastic introduction. Okay. So as I was saying, because as I said, we have the same background. We're both, you're still teaching, aren't you? You're still teaching, aren't you?
No, 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 no. I do
No.
school counseling now. So I'm an ex-teacher.
Right. So we're both ex-teachers, so
Yeah.
and you work a lot with children. but I want to take it from, first of all, explain to us what a psychotherapist is, for those who don't know.
So a psychotherapist is somebody who can, because people ask you, what's the difference between counseling and psychotherapy? Counseling is a talking therapy where the therapist will listen to you and, in a person-centered way. So coming at it from where you're at and listening to where you're coming, the issues that you're bringing to the table, and help you to through their questioning, help you to come up with your own conclusions and solutions. Whereas a psychotherapist is somebody who actually looks at patterns of behavior, patterns of thought. Through the listening, I can pick up on people's um, thinking, maybe styles and behavior styles which isn't serving them, and I might be a bit of a devil's advocate and ask questions and challenging questions and help that person to open up those beliefs and those behaviors that are not helping them, and then work through a step-by-step solution to help them to overcome those things.
Right. So what made you decide to study that? What made you decide to go into that field?
Oh, okay. So I was a primary school teacher for many years, and
Mm,
I just felt that, all I was doing was ticking a lot of boxes and not really having enough time for those children that really needed the support. I'm talking about those children that, had vulnerable backgrounds and, were coming into school and they had behavior problems, or they
mm,
needed some social emotional input. And I just felt like I wasn't getting enough time with that. And I later became a behavior consultant, which meant that I was going into schools and actually working with those specific kids. Um, but I actually found that I wasn't actually getting to the core issue. It was almost like I was putting a sticky plaster and
yeah.
giving them coping strategies with things. But at the same time, I thought, I need to get to the core issue, because if you work on the seed of a problem, you
Mm,
actually find that everything else that's attached to that seed of that problem gets resolved. So
mm,
that's why I trained as a psychotherapist. And I got my qualification in 2012, and
mm.
I've been doing that since.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. Now, I deal with, or I'm quite interested in um, trying to get people to solve problems if they are in unhealthy relationships, domestic violence. And as you know, I've
Yes,
written my book about that, a
of
fictional
course.
book, by
Yeah,
the way,
very
about that.
important
Yes.
topic.
So, but what comes along with that is the deep seated emotions. And,
Yeah.
I've been emotionally abused myself, but, you know,
Mm.
some people don't know how to. I managed to deal with my emotions because I knew how to recognize them. But for people that are going, I mean, being a psychotherapist, you cover many areas. How do you get people to come out of their shell? How do you get people talking? How do you get people to start dealing with their emotions?
Well, I think the first step is for people to, one, be aware that there is a problem, because sometimes people in these kind of relationships don't even realize that there is a different way of living, that there is a
Mm,
different way of coping and managing. People don't live like that not everyone lives like that, being
mm,
hurt and abused. Okay. So the
mm,
second thing is to get them to actually go and find someone to help them. Okay, so I mean, those are the two bottom rungs of the ladder, if you like. And then the next step is to then, once they're in with somebody who's helping them, is to actually then talk about what's actually going on. So those are
mm.
the three different things. But your question is, how do you get them to actually overcome um, the situation that they're
So,
in, isn't
yes,
it?
yeah, those
Yeah.
emotions, yeah, those
Yeah,
emotional feelings,
because
yeah.
because I mean, in my training, I have
Mm,
actually worked in a charity. It was called the Haven, and they work with women who have been raped or abused or in a very violent domestic violence relationship. And so, you know, when we're talking about abuse, we're talking about different levels of abuse here. I mean,
Mm,
for you, Jacqueline, you were aware of it and you had the strength and you had the courage to go and find someone and educated enough to actually know where to go to begin with,
mm.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the kinds of ladies that the kinds of women that I was working with have been very deeply abused. Okay,
Mm,
so for them, it was a case of, first of all, just opening up and talking about things to somebody. Because that, for many women, they said to me that this is the first time I'm even opening up and
yes.
telling someone. So, you know, the first step for them was to actually even have words to describe how they were feeling, because
Mm,
they themselves didn't, they
no.
didn't even have the capacity. So
Mm,
to talk about it. And then the second step is to actually then trust another human being to set, you know, to see them, to
yeah.
see where they are from, and that they will be believed. A lot of the times women don't speak up because they think that they're not going to be believed. And my problem isn't going to be resolved. So what's the point? And they
Yeah.
live with that thought that, you know, this is my lot. You know, no one's going to be able to help me. I mean, there is a lot of research around, you know, women who do open up and then the legal system really
Mm,
blames them, and you know,
mm,
they have to fight their corner, and
yeah.
so it puts a lot of women off from doing that. So
Mm,
for those women, you know, who are going through any kind of abusive relationship, there is help out there. There
mm,
is help out there.
yeah.
So you, the first, I mean, I think a lot of women that I met, um, I think they went to the local library, you know. They went to the local
Mm.
library, and that's where they found their first
Point of contact.
help
Yeah.
helpline, yeah.
Yeah.
And also online. A lot of women do it online, to be honest. And there are a lot of Facebook groups as well that
Yes.
allow women to open up. So there is help out there, more so today than there was
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
5 years ago. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
you probably know that. You probably know that, you know, since writing your book and, you know,
Mm,
highlighting this very, very important topic.
yeah.
And then the next thing is then is once they start to open up, it's about looking at the layers of abuse, because when
Mm,
people are in that situation, what they don't realize is that actually some of the things are not just related to what's happening in the here and now. It
yeah.
goes back to a lot
Absolutely.
of other things that have been, you know, happening in layers, you know, one thing
Yes.
after another, and they don't even realize
Realize. Yeah.
until it
Exactly.
until it yeah, until it reaches such a crescendo. Then you think, oh my God, my world is falling apart. What can I
Mm,
do? I don't know where to go, and nobody's going to be able to help me. And then they shut everything down, and then they
mm,
go into themselves, and then they think there's no help.
mm,
So
mm. So by the time they
and
come
so
to you, so by the time they come to you, or you go to
yes,
them, you know,
yeah,
that's the point where they've just had enough. I mean, do you
yeah.
get, I guess, do you get referrals, or do you have people coming directly to you, or how does it work with you?
Well, at this present moment, people refer themselves to me. So
Mm,
I do a private referral. I work in a school, so those clients come via the school, and I
mm,
work within the school. I don't actually work for that charity anymore, but those referrals came via the charity, so it really depends. But right now, people can contact me directly, and I would
mm,
work with them definitely.
right.
Yeah.
Mm. So when, I mean, I don't know how long are the sessions, or does it depend on the intensity or how much, you know, that they're going through? You know, how long are the
Yes.
sessions with them? do you have with
Yeah,
them?
and I do get asked this a lot, how
Mm,
long will it be before I get better? And actually, it's like asking how long is a piece of string. Now,
mm,
with the charity work that I did, they had a maximum of 10 sessions. So whatever we could do in the 10 sessions, we did. And if they needed more, then they would go back on the waiting list and then they come back via
uh,
that way. So
right.
and that was how they worked. However, privately,
Mm,
I don't have any end, I don't have any boundaries. No, no,
mm.
I do have boundaries. What I meant to say is that
There's
I
no
don't have
problem.
an end number of sessions.
Oh,
Um,
right.
I go for as long as the client needs. But the way I work is that I ask the clients to book 6 sessions, and then we review after every 6 sessions. So after
Right.
6 sessions, the client will know whether they need more or not need any more.
Mm,
Um, and I would say that, when I'm working with I think that, what I found is that 12 sessions are a good number to actually do some deep work.
yeah.
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 And, the way I work is that I don't just do, talking therapy. I actually do body work. So I don't
Okay.
just do I do CBT, but I don't just do CBT, which is cognitive behavior development. And it's not, so with cognitive behavior, what you're looking at is helping the client to understand the way the thinking affects their behaviors and feelings and how
Right.
they can manage those. Yeah.
Mm,
But in my opinion, when somebody's gone through such a trauma, it could be sexual violence, it could be rape, it could be
mm,
domestic violence. Those are real deep, visceral, people actually feel those feelings. It's not
yes.
just the words. Yeah.
Mm,
It's, even just a look is enough to make a person
yes.
feel like, really terrified, so those
Yes.
visceral feelings are stuck in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I work is actually help them to um you're saying about not sweeping things under the carpet. This is
Mm,
actually about saying let go of the, get rid of the carpet, get rid of the dirt, look what's even under the floor, under
yes.
the floorboards,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's we're talking about getting rid of the cobwebs, or we're talking about, we're talking about looking at what is under there and what's working, what's not working. Get rid of
Mm,
the things that are not working. But that
mm,
takes a lot of energy, that takes a lot of work.
yes.
However, the I think for the first time women say to me is that um, when they when they start working with me, what they realize is that they actually have a helping hand, because before, when they've tried to do it before, they've been on their own. So this
Right.
is actually working with somebody who can hold
Yeah.
the space, who can understand where they're coming from, who believes them,
Yes.
who
Yes.
believes what they're going through. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very held piece of work that I do with them.
Mm. And that's what people need, that helping hand and someone to believe
Yeah.
in them, someone to hold space with them and take the time to
Yes.
listen. Because
Yes.
often, as you said, sometimes they feel as if they're not going to be believed. And to know that
Yeah.
someone is there at the other end who does believe in them gives them the chance to
Yes.
open up. So
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
mean, I mean that's a transformational thing, isn't it? From because you've taken them from one
Hugely.
place to another. Yes.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying, there are different levels of abuse. So, for people who are, because it happens in all relationships. It's not just people who are not educated, right? It happens for professional people too. And, you know, I think there's a myth out there that people think that, it only happens to a certain type of a person, but actually it's
Yeah,
happening everywhere. It really is. And
absolutely.
the different levels are that, some people can manage it, they can wear the mask and go out and do their normal day-to-day activities, come back home, and then they are a different person. And then
Mm,
they fit into the mold of what home life should be. if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
whereas the women that I've been working with in the charity, for example, are, they're like doormats, literally. What I mean by that is that everybody relies on them, and they are treated so badly.
Mm.
So there's different levels of
Yeah.
abuse. So some you
Yeah.
can actually manage yourself with a
Mm.
bit of help, and other deeper traumas need a professional clinical helping person to take them out of it.
Right. Okay. Can I just quickly check to see who's online and just say hello and for them taking the time to listen and
Good.
to us? So we've got Bradley and we've got Marcia. Hi, Marcia. How you doing? Nebula. Hi, Nebula. How you doing? It's great to see you at the weekend. Bradley has commented good day. Oh, good day. He's saying hello basically. So yeah. So I'll
Hello,
just
Bradley.
recap for those who's going to catch us on the replay as well. My name is Jacqueline Francis. I'm an author, award-winning speaker and educator, and I have my special guest with me today, Usha. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Usha. Yeah,
Usha,
Usha.
yes, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So she's a psychotherapist, and we're talking about emotions and how the different types of people who actually are referred to you and how you work with them. And as you can see,
Yes.
my show is called Stop Sweeping Under the Carpet. And as you, it's not
Yes.
easy for everyone to come out and say what it is that they want to say that's keeping them stuck. Some may
Absolutely.
need a helping hand, and in doing
Yeah.
so, they'll come to somebody like you, or even
Mm.
just a friend, maybe, depending how severe that what they're going through. Just a friend or a family relative or a counselor. But the idea
Mm.
is, for the show, for my show, is to try to get people to open up a little bit more. And it's
Yes.
interesting how you feel. I mean, I'm talking from experience how I felt when I
Mm.
decided to make that decision to open up
Mm.
and to stop,
Mm.
to reveal how I was feeling to others. And it was almost as if I was giving people permission, to that they could open up. And once they've opened up and spoken about what's hurting them inside, once they've opened up and said, what's stopping them from moving forward, once they've opened up and said, well, these are the people that are affecting me, and know that you know, there's not going to be a huge repercussions as they probably thought it would be, then you can the world's your oyster, so to speak.
It's
You know,
absolutely, exactly. It's absolutely okay. And
yeah,
earlier we talked about the you know, women that's gone through domestic violence, but I actually work with children as well who don't
yes,
always have the voice. So they don't have the voice to talk about what's going on for them. And I work through play, therapeutic play. So
yeah,
through playing, I can help the child to work through their problems. But the other side of it, I think you were mentioning, I think offline,
yeah,
was the parents, and the parents who need to actually not sweep things under the carpet, and
yeah,
actually admit that sometimes, it's about helping yourself so that you can help your child.
yeah,
And that's what I do. It's about helping and empowering the parents to heal their own inner child whilst
yeah.
working with their children.
Yeah, and I
So
like that, and I like that. I like when you say to help from their own inner child, because something may have happened to
absolutely.
them as a child, that they may have
Yes.
suppressed
And they
it.
don't realize.
Um,
Yeah.
is that the way? Is
Yes.
that where you're talking from their perspective as a child? Is that where you're talking from?
When I'm talking, okay, so what happens is when okay, there's two things. So one
Yeah,
is that the work that's in this book, right?
yeah,
The happy child. So
mm,
when parents, because the book actually has lesson plans, okay? So when the parent is working through the lesson plans with their children, what happens is that it's actually written on behalf and for the children, okay?
mm,
But when
okay,
parents are working through the activities with the children, what tends to happen is something within them gets triggered. And
right,
what happens is that the trigger, or the whatever it is that gets triggered, tends to play on their mind because it's an unresolved something that's
Mm.
happened to them when they were children. So
Right.
when they are working through the work in the book, they're actually working through their own inner child. Now, a lot of
Mm.
times what happens is that if the child that they're working with is, say, 10 years old, something within their 10-year-old, their inner child, which was 10-year-old, and something may not have got resolved when they were 10 years old. That's
Mm.
the thing that gets triggered.
Right.
So, and this is all unconscious. This isn't something that I've thought or, put in the book as this
Yeah.
is going something that's going to happen, but it just happens
Mm.
because they are going through a deep activity with their child.
Mm.
And when they're working with their child, actually they're dealing with their own inner child. So they
Yes.
don't, so from that perspective, they don't actually need to come to see me because they're
Yes.
working through it while they're doing it with the child.
Right.
However, there is another side. So I mean, it reminds me of a story of a mom who brought her 6-year-old son because his behavior started to get really aggressive in the school, and he was hitting out. He was 6 years old, and she said that it's possible that it's because he is grieving his grandparents' death that
Okay.
happened about 6 months ago previously.
Mm.
And what happened was that the child came to see me, but what I realized very early on was that actually it wasn't his stuff. So I called the mum in and I said, actually, you know what? This is my assessment of what's going on, and I think that you might need to come and see me instead. So I did see her, and we did some deep work actually, because she had
Mm.
not let go of not the grandparents, but she had not let go of something that happened to her 15 years previously when
Right.
her own mother died, right?
Right.
So the grief that she was holding on to, at
Mm.
some level, her son was tapping into, and it was
Mm.
affecting his behavior. So it
Right.
highlighted his behavior, but actually it was her stuff.
Right. Okay. Wow. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. I
It's
mean,
really is. It really is phenomenal when, when these things come up from under the carpet and they have to
yeah,
just get looked at.
absolutely, absolutely. Do you know what, Ursha? We've done our
Yes.
time. We've done
Oh,
our time.
that was so much fun. That
I
was
know
really a
we
lot of
could
fun.
talk for ages. So, I mean, just in case anyone wants to contact you, where can they contact you if they need to?
Oh, okay. They can contact me on my website, www.healing-feeling.com, or they can find me on any of the social media channels. If they go to Usha Chudasama or at what is it at Healing Feeling,
Okay.
that they'll find me. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for those
Oh,
also
you're
who
welcome.
joined us. I think it's
Oh, thank you.
Kavita. Is it Kavita on who just joined us? So she can catch up
Uh-huh.
with the replay. Yes. So yes, thank you so much for your time. I said we could have been speaking for ages. Thank you,
I
Beata. You're
know.
gonna have to watch on the replay, Beata, because we're jumping off now. So
Oh,
yeah, until next time.
Jacqueline, thank you so much for letting me come on. I've really had a lot of fun, and all those people who are jumping on because I can't see, but if you want to contact me and ask any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you ever so much, and
Thank
yeah, see you
you.
again soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye. See
Okay.
you. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Marcia, for all the hearts, and thank you, Richard, for just jumping on. So if you missed it, you can catch it on the replay. So I had my guest today, Ursha, who's a psychotherapist, and go to her. She mostly works with children, but and she does work with some adults. And for those who have got emotions or stuff that they haven't dealt with, and the importance of dealing with those things in order for you to make changes in your life, to transform from where you were to where you want to be. So yes, so another fantastic show. Thank you so much. So I'd just like to say, anyone who is interested in coming on my show, Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet, who may be going through a healing journey themselves, or they just want to talk to somebody, because sometimes there isn't, you may have friends around you, but you don't really have anyone that you want to talk to. Hi Richard, thank you so much for joining me. Please do get in contact, because I'm telling you, I've gone through it. We hide these things, we sweep them under the carpet, we don't deal with them and thinking that it's okay. Or as Beata says, you wear this mask and it's not serving you, so. But all I can say to you is that once you start to open up, once you start talking about it, it will be hard at first, and you'll be wary about, who's watching, who's, family members might be saying something, friends might be saying something, and people saying, that you shouldn't have done that. But this is your life, and in order for you to move forward, you've got to deal with those issues. And I'm telling you, once you deal with those issues, you'll feel so empowered. Sky's the limit. You can do anything that you want to do, really. And I know that since, I've done that with myself and dealt with the issues that were keeping me down emotionally as well. Once I dealt with those things, I've just propelled, and I want that for you. I want you to be able to transform. I want you to be happy, because as you said, it's a bit of a cliche. We only have one life, so why not live it? What are you waiting for? And I think also the people who you think are going to comment and have an opinion on what you've done, I mean, who cares? Who cares? Because bottom line, as long as you're happy, that's the most important thing. And I know that I'm happy within myself. I know, rightly or wrongly, whether I've, rightly for me anyway, that I've done the right thing for myself. And even if you can't, or you're not unable to talk to somebody, write it down in a journal, get a diary, because the more you let out of yourself, the easier it becomes. And that's just the start of your healing journey. So until next time, you guys have a fantastic week. It's the 1st of October. I mean, come on, it's nearly Christmas, dare I say. So yeah, if you haven't started working on your dreams, or there's no time to start like today. So I'll stop rambling and I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.